you can feel the difference in terms of the service that you're receiving from someone that genuinely cares versus someone that's doing it as a job. And it's hard to like describe the difference between the two other than you could just feel it.
Welcome to another episode of Anatomy of a Hustler, where we're trying to uncover what it really means to be a hustler. My name's Jenise.
And I'm Cope.
And we're here today with Lorraine of Acheson Wine Company. Hi, Lorraine.
Hi there. So glad to be here.
We're so glad to actually be inside of your winery here in Sacramento. And today we just wanted to talk to you a little bit about like your background and like your journey as a hustler.
All right. Yeah. My background is in food and beverage. So on there, I've worked in food and beverage for almost 25 years. And I'm from New York, and I moved here in July 2021. So haven't been in Sacramento that long. But yeah, I've managed the restaurant in New York for 18 years. I was general manager of that, a 200-seat restaurant. So it was hustling all the time. I think working in food and beverage is hustling. So on it, but I love it. And then now I'm in Sacramento and own Acheson Wine Company and super excited about that. And yeah.
That's amazing. How do you go from managing, being a general manager of a restaurant and then owning a winery? Like, what happens in between those two instances in your life?
It's definitely a little different, but I think like this is my first time owning a business that's mine. So, when you're running a large restaurant, it's a lot of work and a lot of people underneath you, but at the end of the day, it's not yours. And it's a whole different dynamic when it's yours. So we're tiny. It's myself, my partner, who's the winemaker, and 2 employees. So we are hustling all the time. It's really just the 4 of us. And it's 24/7 when it's your business. But I love it. It's really an amazing thing. Wine brings people together, and just connecting with the Sacramento community. It's been amazing. So on there, Sacramento is so supportive of us and small businesses. So it's really great being here.
I love that. And I'm always fascinated by the story of the brand, especially the name. So can you give us a little bit of background on where the name came from? Yeah.
So Acheson is actually my husband's grandmother's maiden name. So my husband, Brian, and our partner, Steve, who's the winemaker, have known each other for 30 years.
Oh, wow.
And my husband's family has been in Sacramento since the 1800s.
Wow.
So, he always wanted to have something in his hometown and in the city. So that's why the tasting room is right here in the heart of Midtown. So on there. So we kind of call us like your neighborhood winery. There's a lot of wine around Sacramento, but, are you going to drive to Amador or Napa for a bottle of wine and go home and have dinner? Sometimes probably not. While here you can just roll up and, have your bottle filled and then go home and have dinner. So Acheson, again, is named after Albeth Acheson, and we definitely have notes of about Sacramento in our tasting room. Like our Sauvignon Blanc is called Solon Sauvignon Blanc, and the Sacramento Solons was a baseball team in Sacramento from the 20s to the 50s. It's right, their stadium was where Target is on Riverside and Broadway. So Edmonds Field, so that's why our Sauvignon Blanc is named after, the Solons. And the Solons actually means lawmaker in Greek. So there's a lot of Solonses in Sacramento. So we have like a little baseball bat, in our tasting room. And then I don't know if you can see, but our tasting room has a lot of murals of Sacramento, which is amazing.
Yeah, for those listening and not watching, there's a lot of nods to Sacramento for sure. And I mean, even the Midtown Rosé, I'm sure there's plenty of other notes that lean towards that Sacramento heritage and history. You also touched on something. You said filling bottles.
Yes.
Let's give people a little bit of a rundown on how you guys operate and what that means.
So our winery is 100% refillable. So you basically have your bottle of our Acheson bottle. We fill it on tap, And then when you're done with the bottle, you bring us back the bottle, we clean and sanitize and give you a new bottle. So our company actually started in 2015, Acheson Wine Company, where we made a bottle Cabernet that we sold around the country. And we found out that majority of wine bottles actually do not get recycled, even though you put it into the bin. Only about 30% of wine bottles actually get recycled. So we wanted to do something to, be sustainable, help the planet, that we decided to change our winery to 100% refillable. And that's when we decided to open our tasting room in 2021. And again, all our wines are on tap. So we make 8 different wines. And all the wines are made traditionally. Instead of going into a regular bottle, it goes into 5-gallon stainless steel kegs. And then it's poured out of the tasting room. So again, you have your bottle filled. You can bring it to Acheson right here on 19th and Q. We're also at the Midtown Farmers Market. So you can bring your bottles there. You can get your bottles there. Or we also deliver locally. So you can leave your bottles on the porch and we just swap it out like milk. Adult milk. Yeah.
Was that something that you had always built into your business model? Was like we were going to be a delivery?
My partner Steve grew up in Ohio. So he had milk delivered as a kid. So that was a really big thing for him. And I got to say, people take advantage of it. Everyone's busy, so on to there. And who doesn't love, wine getting dropped off at their house?
Oh, that's so much better than an Amazon package to walk up and see bottles of wine by the door. Come on.
Yeah. So again, our wines are all, majority of it's from Lodi, our grapes, but it's all, California wines onto there. Again, for us, since we're not spending the money on the caps, the labels, the corks, we feel that we can put it into the wine quality. So keeping higher quality wines at affordable prices while saving the planet.
Yes.
And local.
Yeah.
And I was actually going to ask, did you guys leave money on the table by making that change to a more sustainable model?
For sure, again, you're not spending it all on that packaging. So for us, it's all that money is, we feel, putting it into the wine quality. So,
Gotcha.
Our price points, our bottles are a liter. So they're a glass and a half more than a regular 750 milliliter bottles. And, our price points, majority of our bottles are in the 20s for the liter. So again, but people are surprised by sometimes like our price. They're like, wait, really? So on there, but we feel it's really important. It's really about making your everyday easy drinking wines. Right. Really for us.
Right. And wines from your backyard and that you're not contributing to the overall decay of our planet. There's little things,
Yes, that's huge. We have saved now almost 40,000 bottles from going to the landfill.
That's amazing. Something you mentioned about like high quality wine. Usually I think like the eco-friendly movement is kind of associated with like this like handmade situation, but I've actually tried your wine and your wine is amazing for the quality. Have you ever like met with any like consumers who were also surprised by the quality of the wine, and what do you tell them?
For sure. All the time when people like come to our tasting room and they've, found us from social or, on there, and they're like, what is this wine on tap? And they're definitely a little surprised. They'll do our tasting and then they're again totally surprised by the quality. It's kind of like Screw Top. When Screw Top first came out, everyone's like, I don't drink Screw Top wine, it's cheap wine. Now you go to the store, there's all different levels of Screw Top wines, from lower price, mid price to high end wines. And there are now some super allocated high end wines that are just Screw Top. So it's that, I think, similar, mentality in the beginning where you kind of associated like, oh, what is this? Because they're not sure about it.
So you're doing a lot of education.
Yes. And not a lot of wineries are, so we are 100% refillable. There are not a lot of wineries that are 100% refillable because we don't ship. So it's uber local. You can only get my wines at my tasting room, again, at the market or locally. So, you really cut down your market and, your profit, but we felt it was really important being 100% refillable. There are wineries that are, that make bottles and are refilling as well. But there are definitely more and more wineries that are starting to do this as well.
Which is exciting.
Yeah.
You're part of the movement.
Yes, for sure.
Awesome. You talked about coming from New York and like that mentality and then coming to Sacramento. Wait, hold on. Because there's two things. The one thing is like, you talk about how you cut down like on scale, but you just started this company 2 years ago. And so what has been like the success of your growth?
So yes, it's been,
So I feel like it's been like, I have seen you everywhere. Every event I've gone to, I'm like, oh, there's Lorraine pouring her wine.
it's on there. No, it's, so I think for me, really being like, this is my new town. This is where I live. I have 2 kids here. Being involved in community is really, really important to me. And just, again, wine brings people together. So we do a lot of not-for-profit events that I feel that's really important. We are located right across the street from the Bark Park. So we do work with the SPCA in Front Street. It's something really dear to us. So we do, we were just at Doggy Dash last Saturday. We do all the Front Street events, so on to there. As well as, it's funny, one of my first events that I did when we opened was actually Fairy Tale Town. It was their Tails and Nails event in September, and I reached out to them saying like, hey, can I be part of your event? My kids grew up visiting this place. I love this place. I know it's Tails and Nails, but I'm a winery. And they're like, okay, yeah, for sure. We are the only winery that's involved in their events the past 2 years, and we work with them all the time. So that's huge. That's great. This past fall, we were the Wines for Chalk It Up Festival. That is such an amazing event. So on to there. But we have definitely done a lot of local school events. That's really important as well. So yes, and we're now working with like the food bank. So, I think being involved with community is really a big thing. I think of people, seeing you out there. Mm-hmm. The connections are amazing. Sacramento, again, is very, very supportive.
Yeah, what seems kind of like a marketing strategy that some people would use actually feels very it's more authentic to just you as a brand as well.
Yeah, yes. I mean, for my world, it's really supporting these charities is really my number one thing. And then, of course, then people see us and taste our wines and like, oh, where are you located? And on there. So yeah, I think really being involved with the community, and I think, meeting people face to face is really a big thing. Again, coming from New York, yeah, I'm a hustler. I can't sit still. I need to be active all the time. Connections is important. I think follow-up is super important.
Preach.
Yep.
On to there. So yeah, you meet tons of people, but then it's like, oh, here's your card, and then you might not connect with them again. I literally meet someone and I will like email them in the few days that I've met them, just like, hey, here's all my info. If you need something, reach out, or however that is.
I think people are a little surprised by that as I think people think that's more of a tactic, right? They're expecting like, oh, what is this person doing? And when you genuinely give a fuck, because I'm very similar. Like, I'm like, if I met you, I had some sort of connection. Like, as a human, I want to follow up. And even if we have no opportunity to do business together, I just want to say, like, I see you.
Yeah.
And there's a reciprocity that happens with that I think so many people like associate like, oh, if you're out and about, you're doing something like, no, I'm trying to provide value and I'm really trying to be a fixture in the community. And I commend you for that, because it's unsustainable based on what traditional marketing would tell you, like, this is the path, and, hyper focus on beating your competition and growing as fast as possible. But your boots on the ground, like really connecting with your neighbors.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably the strongest customer bond you're going to be able to create, is that face-to-face interaction.
I think so. Absolutely. And I think with social, there's a lot of people, in social that I've met in person. So even there, times people are like, oh yeah, I know this person via like social, but they've never met them. A lot of the people that I've connected with that shared my stuff, I've met them in person. So that's really, really great. And I think for me, it's like, no, the more wine, the better. Honestly, like, sometimes in marketing, it's like, yeah, you need to be number one in competition and there shouldn't be other things. It's like, no, the more, the merrier. You're here to support each other, so on to there. So I think that's really great how, when I moved here, everyone's like, oh, there's a lot of breweries in Sacramento.
Yes,
there's a lot of breweries. And now there's a lot of different other wine places as well. And I think that's awesome, that we can support each other.
Yeah, I love the perspective where competition isn't really a thing. And I think more people could adopt that as a strategy to realize that if you're focused on your neighbors and looking to your left and right, there's a customer right in front of you that you're ignoring in that process. What would you say was the most, let's ask for surprising. What's been the most surprising thing of this journey for you? I don't want to just jump right into like the struggles, because I know I'm sure there's been plenty being a hustler like yourself, but what do you think you've been most surprised by in building this business?
I think just the support from the community really onto there. I mean, again, I come from a really big city, so it's not the easiest, but just really people are really open to supporting us. I think that's really been great. Yeah.
Will you talk a little bit about like the differences in like the Brooklyn community, like starting a business in a Brooklyn community versus starting a business here in the Sacramento community?
Well, here it's much smaller. I think that's really it. Because starting a business, I think Brooklyn community, there's like, again, probably 30 of the same business already on there.
Yeah.
And here, you know, for us, what really stands us out again is our whole refillable model and the eco-friendliness of it. So I think that, you know, really people are really open to that. And, but, you know, owning a small business is constantly hustling, especially when it's just, you know, you, your partner, and 2 employees, so on to there. But it's been great, you know, but it's 24/7 for sure, I think, but people are really open about, you know, of the customer service. I think that's really important. Again, I come from a background where I, you know, it was a very large restaurant that I manage, and you know, the important things is just remembering, you know, customers, and no matter how big or small the space is, you know, the please and thank yous, you know, because clients have a lot of places to choose to go to. So on to there. So I am really grateful for every customer that walks in here or purchase from us. So on there. And just, you know, I think customer service is really number one key, no matter how big or small you are. So on there.
Facts. Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you want to break down a little bit of like the less glamorous side of hustling and starting a business? There must have been some times in your journey where you were like, okay, do you know if this is going to work out or not?
You know, I think whatever you do and put your mind to it and put the work in, it's going to work out, I think, onto there. But the less glamorous side, I have 2 kids, you know, and they're 10 and 12, and it's hustling. I call myself small business owner / Uber driver, because it's like I'm here, and then when a certain time checks in and my staff comes and I go deal with my kids, which is amazing, but it's just that constantly hustling, trying to get them to baseball practice or to golf practice or whatever that is, and trying to go to the events and socialize and onto there. So sometimes it can be tiresome for sure, and I think I've realized at this point of, you know, you got to also make time for yourself. You can't, you know, you're hustling, but you can't take care of other people or your business or on your family or kids if you can't take care of yourself too.
That's true.
So I think that's really important, you know, of making some time for yourself for wellness, you know, whatever that is. Either it's working out, yoga, meditation, or whatever that is. Yes.
Yeah. Easier said than done. It's always encouraging to hear moms in business or moms who are running their own business, because I think sometimes I have that limitation where I feel like I shouldn't start a business or shouldn't start something, because if I want to have more kids, how do you balance both? But it's always good to hear.
You totally can.
Yeah.
You know, it's definitely...
It's not the easier path.
It's not the easier path. But being organized, you know, I live and die by my calendar. It's really like being, and then you make it work, where I gotta say, there's been times I've picked up my phone and I've been on the ski hill, and I'll be like skiing with my kids, and like the phone rings. I was like, oh, I forgot to untransfer the phone. I'm like, hold on, I'm on the side, and I'm like, Acheson Wine Company, but I'm on top. But you know, that's the balance. You gotta, you know, so you make it work.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So I think that, you know, moms out there for sure. There's a lot of mom hustlers I've met that are amazing women that can, you know, that are creative and get their business out there. And it's definitely not easy, but you know, it's great. Yeah.
Awesome. So I know we've kind of like talked around it, but how would you define what a hustler is? Coming from your New York background to now a business owner, a mom, you're hustling. How would you define what a hustler is?
A hustler, you're just go, I guess, onto there. You know, I guess a hustler is really someone that puts their mind on something and constantly is working on it and making it succeed. Because, you know, for me, every day is a work in progress, you know, onto there. So it's what hustling is, you know, get into that goal of however there that is. So, you know, my goal is, you know, it's amazing having Acheson now, but to have another Acheson. So that's my goal, you know, onto there, because we meet a lot of different clients, like at the Midtown Farmers Market, that are from Roseville or Fair Oaks or a little further out of our delivery zone. So and they're like, there's nothing like you up here or around us or whatever that is. So our goal, you know, is to have another Acheson, so on there. But hustling is really, you know, it's the constant working and making it succeed. So on there, I think on it. So yeah, I definitely have that hustler mindset in me. I think like my husband's like, you need to slow down. So,
and what's your response to that?
You know, it's like, well, you want a happy wife, right? So it's like, you know, I'm just not slowing down is not me. So onto there. I mean, sometimes I need to slow down for sure. So like vacation time is somewhere where I now realize I need to go somewhere where there's like no service. Like that's really vacation. I mean, I've been in Iceland before, which is amazing. It's a beautiful country. I've been on top of a glacier where I had cell service. Like, because the snowmobile that I was in had like, you know, a satellite or whatever, where I was like, oh my God, I can share pictures and I'm on top of a glacier. It's amazing, but in a little another way, I'm like, this isn't really relaxing, you know?
Right.
So I've realized, like, for me, I think as a hustler now, realizing that for me to really like calm down is to go on vacay where there's literally no internet service. So on there, it's like, yeah.
That's very valuable. I think more hustlers need to
Yes.
delineate that time and space of saying, I am doing nothing. I am not a product. I am not a deliverable. I am not connected, because it's easy to get wrapped up, especially if you're building something you're passionate about, right? Yeah. But sometimes you're going so fast that you're not listening to the cues that your body is giving you to say, like, I maybe need a little rest.
Yeah.
You know, you're focused so much on the goals that you lose sight. And I think I've struggled with that too. So I've had to like ritualize like little mini vacations where I'm just fully disconnected from the world.
Yeah.
But you come back with new vigor and new life and new light, that the business feels like refreshed, even though you're going right back to the same to-do list.
Yeah.
You just have a new fresh set of eyes.
No, absolutely. You know, absolutely. It's like going somewhere where I was just recently up in a cabin where there was a landline, and someone's like, what's a landline? Like,
someone or your kids?
I was just saying, yeah, was it your kids?
But it was just like, yeah, what's that? You know? So, but that's, yeah, it's really refreshing. I think as a hustler, you need to take that time and, you know, for yourself and chill out and on there. And then really that helps your business. That really helps your business. Yes.
Absolutely. And I'm curious, how do you define success?
What is success to me? I think just being happy in what you're doing is success. For sure, whatever it is. So on to there. And sometimes people define success as like money and on there. But for me, it's really just doing something that you love to do. You know,
you can tell you love what you do.
Yeah. Thank you.
It like it emanates from you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. But yeah, I think that's really it. So, and I think, you know, being genuine and really loving what you do, really, people see that. You know, I think onto there. And sometimes like working in the restaurant world, I feel that there's a lot of people that work in the restaurant world that are not happy. And like being in the restaurant world, you're in customer service. Like you need to be happy and you need to be, you know, like, you know, that's your world. So you see a lot of miserable people in the restaurant world. And I think for me being successful and for myself in the restaurant world as well, is that I really love what I do. You know, I love connecting with customers. I love onto there. So, yeah.
I've been involved in hospitality, God knows how many years at this point, whether directly or indirectly by providing service or content or whatever it might be. And you can feel the difference in terms of the service that you're receiving from someone that genuinely cares versus someone that's doing it as a job. And it's hard to like describe the difference between the two other than you could just feel it. And when someone comes to touch a table that they genuinely care about you, you're like, oh, wow, I actually feel seen. I feel acknowledged. Like, this is really cool. And then you come back or something and then they remember you and it's like, bam, mind blown. Oh my God, I love this. I'm always going to come back and support. And I think it's kind of natural for some people and it's hard to cultivate. And from your experience, do you know, like when someone comes in, do you know like this person would make a good fit for my team or
yes, I mean, you definitely, like, I'm one of those people that's like, go with your gut.
Yeah.
You know, you definitely go with your gut. I think, like, for sure, top down. For example, you know, when I was in New York and I was running a 200-seat restaurant, you know, I think that as a general manager, people would be like, well, what's your job? I was like, well, my job is to do whatever is needed. Right. So if the dishwasher calls out, I've been in a situation where it was like we had a situation where we had a few dishwasher call out and myself and the executive chefs were in like the dishwasher area helping out. If the prep cook calls out and someone needs to like, you know, start cutting, you know, potatoes, then I'll be doing that. So I think like when I felt like my job as a general manager is to do whatever that needs to be done. So both ultimately when, you know, people see that your job as a manager is to make, basically I feel that when my employee's life is easier, my life is easier. That's really it. And onto there, and when you have employees that know that that's, you know, how you believe in it, they really, really assist you and stay with you. And for me, being at a restaurant for so long, I had staff with me that have been with me for 18 years or 15 years. Or it's really rare to have, you know, like my most junior server was like 4 years, you know, so on there. And I think like it doesn't matter if it's a large staff, but even my staff here at Acheson, you know, where I have 2 staff, it's really important, you know, where, again, when they're happy, I'm happy. You know, makes your life easier. Right. So onto there. And sometimes a lot of people might not realize that or that's not how they, you know, manage their staff. But for me, it's really important. Just really, it's not just, you need to make sure you support your employees.
Yeah, and you practice what you preach.
Yes, exactly.
Like I've seen you at the Midtown Farmers Market. You're there at 8 a.m. in your vest pouring wine in the same way that you would come to a fancier, like the couple events that you have coming up. You're going to be also there showing up as your business, pouring wine.
Yes, this Saturday we are a Taste of East Sac that supports the East Sac Chamber. So there's going to be like 500 people there. So it's going to be really, really amazing. So yes, so on it. So that's going to be a big event. But yes, we do everything from like large events to in-house events where we've done events for 10 people, you know, where we've done it for in your home, or we've had companies bring us in. We can do like in-person wine tastings for your clients. So we're mobile.
Yeah.
Acheson is not just at my tasting room. You know, we definitely have done a lot of off-site events.
It feels really authentic to your brand. Like you said, it's wine every day, everywhere.
Yes, every day. We're open 7 days a week, which again, a lot of places, I'm coming from New York, so places are open like 7 days all the time. And here a lot of places are closed sometimes on Mondays, and we're open on Mondays.
Yes.
Yes, and we run happy hour all day Monday. So Monday, all our wines are $7 by the glass, and we definitely have gotten a following, especially people working in the restaurant world too.
Oh yeah.
Are off Mondays. So yeah, we definitely want to be open, and so so come and check us out.
You talked about like cultivating community in the Sacramento, like getting support from consumers and other businesses. What does your community look like as a business owner, or with a community of potentially other women or other owners?
Yes, well, women is amazing, so I have to say for sure. I am part of Women of Sacramento, so that is an amazing group of women. There's another amazing group, Alpha Women Lead, so they're amazing and supportive. Another group that I'm involved with is actually NABO, which is the National Association of Women Business Owners. So on to there. I have to say that my community, I definitely connect with a lot of small business owners, a lot of women small business owners as well, and just I think meeting up with them and talking about your struggles or what help you need is really important. So on to there. But yeah, there's all these amazing groups, I gotta say, in Sacramento, and not just even like the Sacramento Asian Chamber of Commerce. I'm part of the ESAC Chamber of Commerce, so lots of different groups. Sometimes
you're just out there.
I'm just out there, I guess.
Makes me want to step my hustle up. Yeah. Damn.
Yes, besides being involved with schools is really important. We were just the wines for the Christian Brothers alumni dinner. We were the wines at the Phoebe Hearst Elementary School gala.
I love it. It keeps going. The list keeps going on. We're seeing you at breweries. We're seeing you at school events. That's awesome.
Very cool. Well, what does the future look like for you? I know you said you wanted to expand a little bit, but what is your path forward?
I think for sure, again, there's definitely people that know about us, but there's definitely, I'm going to say, even for you, you live a few blocks away, Hobie, and you've never been here before. You've driven past here before. So there's still a lot of people in Sacramento, in downtown, Midtown, Land Park, Oak Park, ESAC, however in a pocket, that have not heard of us. So really for us, it's just getting our message out there more, for sure, is the future for us. And eventually opening up another Acheson. So yeah.
Very cool.
I feel like that could happen in the very, very near future.
Yeah, we'll see. We're getting there, It's growing, Sacramento, for sure.
Yes.
I mean, just like there's a lot of people here, a lot of people in Roseville and Rockland, or Lincoln, I hear, is booming, Elk Grove. Yeah.
The last thing, one of the things we like to ask is like what is wrong? I need more coffee, or it's just because it's early in the morning. Is what advice would you give your 18-year-old self? I think from what I've noticed with you is you're very sure in like your mission. You're very sure in what you're about. When you go out into the community, you know who you are. I'm sure that's something that's been cultivated over time. What advice would you give to your younger self to like cultivate that sense of purpose?
I think a big thing, the advice is just, if whatever you want to do, just keep at it, for sure. You put in the hard work and it's going to happen. So on to there. And being focused, I think it's important, for sure. I mean, I have almost a teenager. I have a 12-year-old turning 13. So on to there. And, he's passionate about art and doing that, and I'm always like, follow up on it and being focused on it, and you can do it. So on it, but again, it just doesn't come right away. You got to put in the work. So I think that's really the advice too, because sometimes people are like, oh, if it doesn't happen in like a few days, a month or so, I'm gonna forget about it and do something else. Like, you got to put the time in, for sure. I think that's the advice that I would do. And everyone starts in the bottom and gets to the top, okay? So you don't just go from the top really on there. So I think that is really, for sure, the advice that I'd give my 18-year-old self, is just, again, you got to work at it and go from the top and bottom to the top, and just, be focused. And yeah, it takes time, for sure.
Yeah, and you put your time in. You got 18 years in the restaurant industry, 2 years here in SAC, and you're just starting, which is really exciting.
Yeah.
Does it feel like you're just starting? Does it feel like you're getting the swing of things?
I am just starting, so on to there. But it's been really great and amazing, and I really, again, love being in Sacramento and the community. So I'm really glad I'm here. I mean, I was fighting it. My husband wanted, he was with me in New York for almost 20 years, and 15 years in, he was like, I want to move to Sacramento. I was like, I'm not moving to Sacramento. I'm from Brooklyn. You're moving to Sacramento. I'm not moving to Sacramento. But then, COVID happened, unfortunately, and things happened, and I'm really glad I'm here.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we're very glad you're here as well.
Thank you. Yeah.
Awesome. Just to finish off, is there anything you want to tell the people and look into that camera about who you are, your message to the world?
My message to the world, who I am. Well, if you haven't checked us out, please come check us out. We're located on 19th and Q, and we are, again, local, 100% eco-friendly winery. So on to there, and it's really about, doing our part in saving the planet while drinking Acheson wines. So see you soon.
Love that. Love
Awesome.
that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for letting us come hang out here on a Friday morning.
No, absolutely. Right. Thank you for having me on your podcast, and I'm so excited to be on part of it.
Yeah,
so
thank you.
Woohoo.